Before we begin, if you enjoy stories where humanity surprises the galaxy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because out there in the stars, humans are often underestimated, until they prove everyone wrong. Now let's begin. The cadets made the bet quietly. 20 credits. 30. Someone whispered 50, because no one believed the human would last. Not in that arena. Not against a Krathian war cadet. The instructor heard the whispers. He didn't stop them. He simply watched the human. Then he said one calm sentence: "Begin the endurance trial." And the room slowly realized something had gone very wrong. The Orion War Academy floated above a red gas giant. 6,000 cadets trained there every cycle. 14 species, 3 gravity environments. One simple purpose: create soldiers for the Galactic Coalition. Humans were new, very new. Only 2 years since first contact. Only 1 year since enlistment opened. And so far, most alien officers were unimpressed. Commander Threx especially. He stood at the edge of the training hall, tall, 4 arms, gray armored scales, eyes like polished stone. Beside him stood Instructor Vel, thin, sharp, a veteran of 7 wars. Vel folded his arms. "So that is the human." Threx nodded slowly. "Recruit Daniel Carter." Vel looked unimpressed. The human stood among the cadets. Average height, average build, dark hair, no claws, no armor plating, no extra limbs, just soft skin and 2 small eyes. Vel snorted. "They look fragile." "They look fragile," Threx replied calmly. "That is the assumption." Vel tilted his head. "And you doubt it?" Threx watched Daniel stretch his arms casually. "I doubt assumptions." The endurance trial platform rose from the floor. A circular arena, 100 meters across. The gravity generators hummed quietly. A sign blinked overhead. Gravidity 1.0. Standard Instructor Vel addressed the recruits. "This test measures stamina and stability." He gestured to the arena. "You will run until you collapse. Simple, brutal, effective." A reptilian cadet raised a claw. "Against each other?" Vel shook his head. "Against gravity." Several cadets groaned. The human smiled slightly. Vel noticed. "Interesting." Vel pressed a control. Gravity increasing to 1.5. The arena hummed. Bodies instantly felt heavier. A 4-legged cadet staggered. Another dropped to one knee. Vel barked. "Begin." The cadets ran. Some struggled immediately. One collapsed within 30 seconds. The human jogged easily. Commander Threx leaned forward slightly. Vel noticed. "You see something?" Threx spoke quietly. "He is relaxed." Vel looked closer. The human ran smoothly, not sprinting, not struggling, just pacing. Like this was normal. Vel frowned. "Increase gravity." Threx raised an eyebrow. "Already?" Vel pressed the button anyway. Gravity 2.0. The floor groaned. Cadets slowed dramatically. One fell. Another vomited. A large armored species collapsed entirely. Medical drones lifted it away. Vel watched the human, still running, still calm. A cadet beside him gasped. "Human, how?" Daniel glanced sideways. "You okay?" The cadet wheezed. "This is crushing." Daniel blinked. "Really?" Vel narrowed his eyes. "Interesting." 5 minutes passed. Most cadets had stopped. Only 6 remained. 2 insectoids, 1 Krathian, 1 reptilian, 1 6-legged runner species, and the human. Vel crossed his arms. "Increase gravity." Threx looked at him. 3.0? Vel nodded. The generator roared. Body slammed downward. The reptilian collapsed instantly. 1 insectoid rolled onto its back. The Krathian roared in frustration. The human slowed, but he didn't fall. Instead, he laughed softly. Vel blinked. Did he just laugh? Threx nodded. "I believe so." The Krathian cadet snarled. "Human." Daniel looked over. "Yeah? Are you struggling?" Daniel shrugged. "A little." The Krathian panted violently. "This is unbearable." Daniel scratched his head. "Huh." Vel leaned toward Threx. "Commander." "Yes, I think something is wrong." Threx smiled slightly. "Yes." 10 minutes later. Only 2 cadets still ran, the Krathian and the human. The Krathian was enormous, 300 kilograms of muscle, built for war, built for gravity. And he was shaking. The human was sweating, but still moving. Veal finally spoke. Increase gravity. Threx turned slowly. Veal. Yes, they will break. Veal gestured at the human. That one won't. Threx considered, then nodded. Very well. Vel pressed the control. Gravity 4.0. The arena roared. The Krathian screamed. His legs buckled. He collapsed to his knees. Medical drones rushed forward. Vel ignored them. He stared at the human. Daniel slowed to a walk. He rolled his shoulders, then kept moving. Vel whispered. What? The observation deck filled quickly. Scientists arrived, officers, more instructors. They all stared down at the arena. The human kept walking. 20 minutes now. Under 4 times standard gravity. One scientist spoke. Impossible. Another checked a tablet. Vitals stable. Vel muttered. Increase again. Threx folded his arms. You want to break him. Vel shook his head slowly. I want to understand him. Silence. Then Threx nodded once. Vel pressed the control. Gravity 5.0. The generators screamed. The floor cracked slightly. The human stopped walking. Everyone leaned forward. Daniel bent slightly, hands on knees, breathing heavier. Vel whispered, There. The human stood straight again, then kept walking. The observation room went silent. One cadet whispered, By the stars. Daniel looked up toward the observation window. Hey! Vel blinked. The human waved. Are we done? Vel stared. Threx stepped forward. Recruit Carter. Daniel nodded. Yes, sir. How do you feel? Daniel shrugged. Like leg day. The scientists froze. Vel turned slowly. Leg day, Daniel smiled. Yeah. He pointed to the gravity field. This is like heavy squats. Silence filled the room. Then Vel pressed another button. Gravity 6.0. The room erupted. Are you insane? Vel didn't answer. Everyone watched. The human bent again, this time deeper. His muscles strained. Sweat poured down his face. Daniel exhaled slowly, then stood up and walked again. One cadet fainted. A scientist dropped a tablet. Commander Threx whispered one word. Remarkable. Vel spoke into the arena speakers. Human. Daniel looked up. Yeah? Stop moving. Daniel stopped. Now jump. Daniel blinked. Jump? Yes. The cadets watching gasped. At 6 gravity, jumping was suicide. Daniel rolled his shoulders. All right. He crouched. Everyone leaned forward. Then he jumped. Not high. Maybe 20 centimeters. But he left the ground. Under 6 gravity. Vel whispered. No. The scientists stared at their screens. One finally spoke. I understand. Vel turned. You do? The scientist nodded slowly. Earth. Threx looked over. What about it? The scientist swallowed. Earth gravity is 1.0 galactic standard. Vel frowned. So? The scientist looked down at the arena. Most coalition worlds average 0.4 to 0.7. Silence. Vel turned slowly back to the human. His eyes widened. Wait. The scientist continued quietly. Humans evolved under double the gravitational pressure of most species. Another scientist added. Their bones are denser. Another. Their muscles stronger. Another. Their hearts more powerful. Vel finished the sentence softly. So this training environment, the scientist nodded, is comfortable for them. Commander Threx began to laugh. Slow at first, then louder. Vel stared at the human again. Recruit Carter. Daniel looked up. Yes, sir? What is the gravity of your home planet? Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead. 1G. Vel nodded slowly. And this. He gestured around the arena. Feels like what? Daniel thought about it. Honestly, Vel waited. Daniel smiled. Pretty good workout. The Krathian cadet returned later, medical drones supporting him. He stared at the human across the hall. You defeated the gravity trial. Daniel shrugged. I guess. The Krathian growled. No one defeats gravity? Daniel smiled. We do. The Krathian narrowed his eyes. How? Daniel leaned against the wall. Long story. The Krathian crossed his arms. I have time. Daniel chuckled. All right. He pointed at the stars outside the station. My ancestors chased animals for hours. The Krathian blinked. Why? Daniel shrugged. Because they were faster. The Krathian tilted his head. So how did humans win? Daniel grinned. We didn't stop running. Commander Thrax watched the conversation quietly. Instructor Vel approached him. I believe we misjudged them. Thrax nodded, severely. Vel gestured toward the arena. If that human fought a cadet. Thrax finished the thought. They would lose. Vel crossed his arms. Even the Krathians. Thrax looked out the window. Imagine an entire army of them. Philae went silent. A scientist approached. Commander. Yes? We ran additional projections. Thrax turned. And? The scientist swallowed. If humans ever fight a ground war, Vel asked quietly. What happens? The scientist answered softly. No one else should. Later that evening, the cadets gathered in the mess hall. The humans sat alone, eating calmly. A group approached slowly. The Krathian, 2 insectoids, a reptilian. They stood around his table. Daniel looked up. Hey! The Krathian spoke first. We underestimated you. Daniel smiled. Yeah. The Krathian nodded respectfully. We will nod again. The insectoid tilted its head. Human. Yeah? Why did you join the academy? Daniel leaned back. Honestly? The reptilian hissed softly. Yes. Daniel looked around the room, then back at them, because space looked fun. The Krathian stared. You joined the military for fun, Daniel shrugged. Also tuition benefits. The table went silent. Then the insectoid whispered, humans are insane. Daniel grinned. You're just figuring that out? Commander Thrax stood on the observation deck, watching the mess hall through a window. Instructor Vel joined him. You were right. Thrax folded his arms. About what? Vel nodded toward the human. Assumptions. Thrax smiled slightly. The galaxy is full of them. Vel spoke quietly. What happens when the galaxy learns the truth? Thrax looked down at the human laughing with the cadets. Then he said calmly, then the galaxy will learn something else. Vel waited. Thrax finished the sentence. Never bet against a human. Weeks later, a new training module began. Combat simulation. 1 human, 5 alien cadets. The betting pool was massive. Commander Thrax watched from above. Instructor Vel stood beside him. Should we warn them? Thrax shook his head. No. Vel smiled slightly. Why not? Thrax looked down at the arena. Because the human had already picked up the training cannon, and the other cadets were starting to look nervous. Then he answered quietly. Some lessons must be experienced. The arena doors opened. The simulation began. 5 alien cadets rushed forward. The human cracked his neck and smiled. The academy learned another lesson that day. Humans were not the weakest species in the galaxy, not even close. They were simply the ones who had been living under the heaviest sky. And the moment the galaxy realized that, the betting stopped. And that's the story of how 1 human changed what the galaxy believed was possible. If this story moved you, leave a like on the video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you enjoy stories where humanity refuses to give up, subscribe for more hfy sci-fi stories. Because out there in the stars, humans are just getting started.